Hi there, guys. God bless each and every one of you. My apologies for the absolute distortion of the image. Once again, guys, this is what we're literally up against when they allow us to go live. We literally have audio and we also have picture difficulties. Everything, as far as I'm concerned, is all plugged in, all squared away. I'm hoping that it will correct itself in just a moment, but my apologies to you in advance for this. When we've been discussing, guys, around the artificial intelligence cabling that they're putting all down, making sure that they're able to isolate and triangulate a particular home and its service provider, so that people will literally click off and think, well, that's just an awful image, that's an awful screen presentation, I don't want to be a part of any of that whatsoever. And so inevitably they'll want you to go elsewhere, especially when they're stealing our views as well. So my apologies, guys, for the imagery. I'm hoping that will auto correct itself in the next few minutes. Does look a little bit like we were saying before, Scooby-Doo. Ordinarily what I've done is I've then cancelled the live and then restarted it, and then it's been perfect. I'm not actually going to do that today because I want to prove my point. Okay, part of the point that I'd like to prove today and discuss is I'm actually going to be looking at 5 articles today. Okay, just because we took yesterday off, there was a few that came in over that period of time that I think that we'd like to grab a hold of and report on before we go into what would be potentially just another week's worth of craziness. Okay, title of this particular live, something this way comes. A few of you guys have asked, okay, then Dan, do you think that it's getting a bit hotter now, a little bit more to a boiling point, or coming to a bit of a head when it comes to certain things? And ordinarily I've turned around and said very openly, very honestly, no, I don't. Especially when some people have actually said, well, we've got this high watch dates and we've got this high watch dates and the like. And I've held my ground in on that. Over the last 24 to 36 hours, I have to be really honest with you. What I call my Noah, which is really in the depth and the core of myself, is that there is something that this way comes. Okay, and I'm not just alluding that to 3i Atlas, which is also really troubling as well. If you go over to Dabu77 and see some of his reports that he's been coming out with, if you go over also to Secure Team, they've also copied and mirrored this concerning apparent comment that now has instead of a tail behind it, which would emit everything that it's melting when it comes to ice and steam, vapors, whatever in space. That's not actually at the rear of the comet, which is really weird considering it's traveling at 130,000 miles per hour. It's actually at the front. And then saying that it's lit up in a particular way, maybe having some a nuclear fusion reaction. Some of the pictures in and around that are also quite troubling. But I want to look at it from a little bit more of a different angle, if I can. And we all remember on the 23rd of September 2017 that the Virgo and the Revelation 12 sign at 4:23 p.m. was in the heavens for all of us to see. Many of us thought that actual sign was our indicator that we were all going to be going home. As we found out, obviously, no, it wasn't. It was just a marker, and it was a sign promising and perhaps implying of what might be happening, especially when we're looking at 8 years later and that falling on the exact same day, the 23rd to the 24th. So I think that's about 22 days away. If you're going to be going for the 22nd of September, and the new day begins in Israel at sundown, and over here in the UK, that's probably about 4:30 in the afternoon. Israel's 2 hours ahead of us in England, and so I think it's about 6:30 is that time. That time also, as we know, that the day no man knows the hour of is an idiom. Well, there's also another idiom in that, and that is the twinkling of an eye, and that's the last light, the final light. So that could very well be the second that the 22nd kicks off, and into the 23rd. That could be the moment. Could also be the midnight as well. So there's those sorts of things that we've known quite, around. But there's also videos out there, and NASA's since taken this down. is that, you know, there used to be a sort of like what appeared to be like it looked like a red dragon. It had two eyes. It had, you know, sort of like, you know, red and everything all around it. And that was basically, you were able to go into Google Earth, you were able to go into the constellations, you were able to turn that onto infrared, and literally quite near the birthing canal of Virgo, that was there. And NASA decided that, oh, we don't want people to be seeing this anymore, so they put like a little black box over it. Obviously, as that moved, they didn't sort of like update that in any particular way, and it sort of like came out over the picture. It was really badly done. Since then, guys, they've taken that entire feature away from everybody, so you can't go into some of those platforms anymore. So then you'll have instead all of the solariums and all of the other apps that are literally given to you as an alternative, and they're not in any way half as good as you being able to see the entire galaxy yourself. And so for me, it was almost a case of, well, there were two things indicated as per Revelation 12, the first sign and the second sign. And the second sign seems to be there, and that's now being covered up. So when we're talking around something this way comes, and then we've got the 3-eye atlas as well, there's that particular connect that's already there, already to perhaps potentially devour as soon as the child is born. But that's already there, ready, sitting on G, waiting on O. So I just find that that's something relating to why I've titled this, you know, something this way comes. And I'm aware that they've deliberately distorted the picture and the imagery. I can see everything so perfectly here. There's no reason why anything behind me should be so blurry, and people are going to come on board. They're going to see that we have so little views, and they're just going to click off. All right. And this is deliberate. This is how pathetic and immature YouTube really is when it comes down to being able to play fair or play nice by stealing our views, burying our work, and not, you know, allowing any of what it is that we report to you to gain any momentum or any traction. And I find that really deceitful and really deceptive, because what it is that we produce and we share with you is of the utmost importance, in my opinion. Some of it could be life-saving when it comes to things that are being put in the food and the water and being sprayed overhead. And they don't want you knowing about that. They would rather conceal that information. They would rather distort the whole picture and the whole experience so that you lose patience and click off and go elsewhere, to where someone's creating a video that doesn't seem to be a threat to the beast system at all. And it's mind-boggling that some of the videos that we've produced here with our lives and then afterwards with our posts gain so little traction and gets buried. And yeah, I look at some of my peers and they've got tens upon tens of thousands in less than 20 hours. And I just find that very interesting. And it's almost a case of like reverse psychology in the whole procedure by the fact that the beast system suppresses so much of our work, ought to tell you that that's exactly what you need to be watching. That's exactly what you need to be paying attention to. So I want to bring this into something a little bit more personal for me, as I've been sharing with you. I come up with the information, I come up with the articles in our lives, I give you the videos that we've made, you know, prior to this, so that you can have as much sort of like, you know, understanding around that subject matter. All right, I'm going to do the same thing with these 5 videos that I'm going to be covering as well. I'm going to do the same thing in the post afterwards. Then you can see for yourself how that is. But very, very rarely do I get sort of like dreams. Very rarely do I get sort of like, I've never had a vision, and I've never had, you know, being caught up or seeing the Lord Jesus in front. I've never had that. Okay. I personally envy anybody who has been able to have some of that interaction with the Lord in that way. That's really heartbreaking when you're praying and asking for the same sort of a thing. My dreams aren't quite like that. My dreams match my conscious, very sort of like I'm being chased, I'm being attacked, I'm being targeted. They're the sort of my dreams. But sometimes, very rarely, the Lord gives me something what I call like in the depths of my knower. And it's like a pain, and it's like an agony, and it's like a heartache within me. It's as if something so bad is on its way. And I know that we're all getting into this sort of like, you know, excitement about the potential of the rapture occurring on the 22nd, 23rd, 24th, all those sort of like block of those 2 days. And I need to say that I'm with you in on that. Okay, I'm also excited when it comes to every high watch. I always am. Whether it comes or it goes, I'm still geared up for it. I still want to be with the Lord. But something in my spirit is just like, relating to this country, the United Kingdom, something is so bad on its way. And I've looked into what some of these things actually might be. Okay, and I just find it really hilarious that it's almost as if I've got all of these windows put up on here on my iPad in front of me to present to you. It's almost as if the beast system knows exactly what it is I'm about to show you and wants to distort that image as much as it possibly can so that you guys can't have that. And I've taken screenshots on my day off so that I could have this for this presentation. So when I'm out there praying, Lord, I don't know what's really happening and everyone's getting excited about this, why is it that I'm feeling somewhat the opposite of some of that? Not taking away the fact that that might happen, not at all, no, far from it. But from here until then, there is 22 days, okay, 22 days. And so going to be looking at some articles, guys. One of those is relating to rumors that are coming out at the moment that Trump is actually dead. Rumors explode on social media as President Vance trends on X. I'm going to leave that there. We're going to look at that in a little while. Then I'm also going to look at another thing relating to what is going on over here in the UK with Elon Musk blasts Britain's treasonous government. This is a great way, okay, for this guy to get rid of the last platform that the UK has over here in X, okay? It's a great way to tee that up perfectly. And then something that is really unpleasant that I don't want to be looking at, but something that needs to be addressed. Israel set to become first nation to eradicate age of consent laws. Pedophilia is a human right, according to them. We've got videos on our Rumble channel relating to so many that are literally being housed and homed in Israel. And they're not having any safety check. They're all escaping justice from America. And the evidence is there. It's not just a case of just like one article saying this. This is literally a documentary that's put in the video there for you. These guys actually going out and interviewing this. Ordinarily, I steer clear of some of these things because some of these resources that I go to, they are quite anti-Semitic, or they will be in some ways really encouraging of something else that I'm not really in support of. And that's why half of them, in fact, most of them are controlled opposition. But there's a cherry picking that I've been able to do over the years to be able to differentiate that. But in this particular regard, it is actually happening over in Israel. And this is the chosen people of God. So it pains me to be able to actually even want to address that with you in a moment, but we will. And another thing that we've been saying for this entire time that we've been coming back, that the UK government is now offering psychotherapy to civil servants traumatized by seeing the national flag. We're talking about the removal of national identity and national sovereignty, all so that this entire country can be collapsing in itself, trying to stoke and create through the immigration, the sort of like civil war that we're seeing. We're seeing that over in London, especially with the ULEZ, which is the ultra low emission zones that are around, where they're literally punishing motorists for not having a posh enough car. Individuals like Blade Runners that are running around, you know, soaring all of these things down and out. There is a real fight back and a real pushback on this. But this is all pertaining to the Club of Rome's second kingdom. Okay, and still it hasn't decided to fix my screen, which is absolutely hilarious. I get other messages, oh, sorry, we had this particular fault, or we had this particular issue. It's all a way to stop me from doing what it is that I'm doing. So it's fine. All of a sudden, the truth comes out about the vaccines that we were right along about all the while, and yet they don't want to reimburse us of our channels that they decided to take down. And then they'll start stealing our views, and they'll start suppressing that, and people won't get notifications. Showed you the evidence, have I not, relating to what it is that they are doing. So it's not bad enough that they've taken down our sort of like tower that we were stood upon reporting, but they're also now messing with this in another way. But I'm going to continue, and I'm not going to be giving up. So we're going to be looking at that article. And then the last article that we're going to be looking at as well is coming from Harbinger's Daily, which is laugh all you want. The rapture is not escapism or fantasy. It's biblical. Oh, there you go. We've decided to come back. There you go. Persistence. But how many people have come and gone and bounced in that interim? It's pathetic, isn't it? But just in time. Thank you, Lord. Because there's some pictures that I really want to show you now. And I'm really sorry, my brothers and my sisters, that I can't make the usual razzmatazzy videos that I was able to make before, because I'm not able to do that. Okay, I can't create any more videos, so I'm gonna have to turn my iPad around for you and show you the images that I've got, okay, just for you. And I'm sorry I'm not able to do it any other way. Ordinarily, I'd be able to share it over to another platform and do it then, but then they sabotage StreamYard for me, and I can't upload, and I can't download, I can't import, export, share, and Rumble will not accept these videos that I'm making. It won't accept them. It won't take them. And I can't save them on the iMovies or the other sort of like platforms that I use to create the movies. So they're literally stopping that. And it's by the grace of God, I'm kind of going to give that a little bit of a say that we're even still up here now. But this is what really does concern me, is because we have been taken down for far less than what it is that we have been reporting here, guys. You even mentioned the vaccine and channel down. Considering that they kill switched our channel for a mere music violation, and yet what it is that we've covered over this particular period of time is really, really worrying. That worries me, because I keep an eye on the beast and I see what it's doing from my vantage point or whatever it is, and I see what's coming and I report on it. Those sort of attacks that I would ordinarily have in and around me, okay, they've withdrawn and they've retreated. And that's not something to be celebrating. That's actually very worrying, in my opinion. And whether you believe us or not, I don't really care whether you believe me or not. But I go on a lot of prayer walks. I keep telling you guys this because that's how I process. That's how I pray. I can't help but talk to the Lord. And every single night for years and years and years, I have been going on a particular prayer walk. It's about 4 or 5 mile walk in and around the village. I get to see the village from different angles, quiet places where I can go, I can pray out loud and have that. And every single time when I get to the high point of that, I have been seeing civilian aircraft that are literally just like flying in and around. I'm not seeing those guys anymore. And it was almost just like I would be joking, like you're a little bit late. And I almost wish I had my phone with me, but I didn't want my devices there to listen in to where it was that I was going or listening in to my prayers. So I always left my devices behind. And I almost wish I could literally make a video just confirming to you what it is that I'm saying. And they were there. And these were civilian aircraft that wouldn't sort of tear across the sky with like jet fumes behind it or anything of that sort. This particular aircraft would literally be able to, and it was a plane, not a helicopter, would literally be able to stop in the middle of the sky and just stay there with its jet propulsion engines, very much like a Harrier jet. Okay, and its speed of being able to go around the entirety of the what I would probably consider the horizon was absolutely epic. And every single time I sat on this fence looking over at the village that I was literally praying for or praying whatever, it would always come from right to left. And now they've gone. They've absolutely gone. That to me tells me some things. The fact that we're still up here with our channel when they've done everything else to stop us is another thing. Are they deliberately trying to do that so that I bury myself with something that I say, that when the online crime policing bill comes out, that they can have a little pop at that? So I want to show you some pictures why I am really uneasy in my spirit. Okay, ordinarily I'm like, yeah, bring that. Okay, I'm excited about this, so I'm not bothered about that. But there are some things that are going on in this country, guys, that I really need you to have a little look at for yourself. Okay, right? Keir Starmer is hiding something. Okay, I'm telling you this right now. All right, in September and October, the British government is doing another pandemic preparedness exercise, and it is called, okay, it is called Pegasus. All right, England has just signed contracts on the 18th of August 2025 for a mass casualty event. I'm going to say that again. England has just signed contracts on the 18th of August 2025 for a mass casualty event. Britain's mass fatality plan is that they have created a 700 body morgues. They've paid 7.5 million framework for this, and the contracts have already been signed. Is this pandemic 2.0? Is this another terror attack when it comes to a black swan and a false flag event? Please see our video also on Rumble when it says that all of the webcams in London have been turned off. Is there going to be a war with boots on the ground when it comes to the Ukraine and long-range missiles and that sort of like talk that we've had from the UK Prime Minister, telling us to prepare ourselves for war, telling us also to have rations as well? Is there going to be Mr. Augustus and Rainmaker or some weaponizing of the weather when it comes to direct energy weapons? We've already got fires up in Yorkshire with the moors up there. Are we going to be seeing some apparent climate disaster? So what is the actual government expecting? And I just want to show you something. Britain preparing for mass casualties. The country has purchased refrigerators and mobile morgues capable of holding 700 bodies at a time. In Britain, preparations underway for mass deaths. British authorities signed a contract worth 7.5 million to purchase tents, mobile morgues and refrigerated chambers to store up to 900 bodies at once. No explanation. The UK Home Office did award a 7.5 million framework in 2025 for mass fatality resilience, including temporary morgues for up to 700 bodies as a routine replacement of decades-old capabilities. Per the government UK contracts, no specific crisis is declared. It's part of broader risk planning for pandemics, disasters, or conflicts. National Risk Registry 2025. Speculations on causes remain unconfirmed by officials. And fact check review. It has standard preparedness, not alarmism. Okay, I just want to show you something here, if I may. Just forgive me for the lameness of this. What is Britain preparing for? Mobile morgues and refrigerators for 7.5 million were secretly ordered. I don't know if you can get that. There you go. Okay. That's in a football stadium. Okay. And these are appearing all over the United Kingdom. So in my spirit, I'm a bit like, Lord, I'm really excited about the possibility of us getting out of here. I really genuinely am. Do not get me wrong. But I am also, in my own spirit as well, really concerned about something this way comes. And I mean over here in the United Kingdom. Okay. And then when you get some of the things that we're going to be talking around Elon Musk and Twitter and all of that sort of stuff, and this conversation going off again, it's just another way just to confirm, is it not? Oh, let's just take that platform down. We're going to, be against Elon Musk. It's all staged. And these guys are all of one mind, all of one purpose. Revelation 17:13, to give their power to the beast. So here you go. Let's go through our 5 articles. God bless each and every one of you. Bless you guys for being here. Thank you for also enduring the attacks that we have. I'll take the hits if you can as well, guys. Here we go. So apparently, and this is just a rumor, okay, apparently Trump is dead. Apparently. Rumor explodes on social media as President Vance trends on X. A swell of online speculation about President Donald Trump's health erupted into a full-blown frenzy on Friday, sending hashtags like Trump is dead and President Vance to the top of the trending lists on X. By Friday morning, the phrase Trump is dead had appeared in more than 50,000 posts, according to multiple outlets. Users on X circulated old photos of the president showing bruising on his hands and swelling in his legs, while forums speculated about everything from secret illnesses to a so-called Pentagon pizza theory, which attempted to link crowded Washington eateries to the president's fate. We've seen a lot of these bruises, have we not? But this is an initiation. All right, Elon Musk had that. Pope Francis had it. They get black eyes and all of this sort of stuff. All right, it's their literal, initiation things. So the rumors began earlier this week when Vice President J.D. Vance, in a USA Today interview, said he was ready to step in if, heaven forbid, there's a terrible tragedy. While intended as a reassurance, the comment instead ignited questions about succession, with many users jokingly referring to Vance as President Vance. This is Mr. Guyliner, who likes to go in and see popes, and then 24 hours later they're both dead. That's what he did to the last two. The speculation was further fueled by remarks from the Simpson creator Matt Groening at San Diego Comic-Con, where he quipped that the series would continue until somebody dies, joking that there would be dancing in the streets when you know who goes, and adding that President Vance will ban dancing. Do these guys know something that we don't? I'll show you some of the, you can see the articles that I'll put in there for you, pictures of Trump's sort of like bruised hand in. Let's see if we can just turn that around so you can get an idea of it and how it's attempted to be, you know, makeup has, really sorry guys. See, there you go, look. Right, attempts are being made to try and conceal and cover up some of that. The White House sought to tamp down the speculation. Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said the president was in good health and full command of his duties, while Trump's physician, Dr. Sean Barbella, attributed the visible bruising and swelling to chronic venous insufficiency and routine aspirin use. Do you know what I mean? It's just like, really, when they saying the same thing about, you know, Biden? Yeah, this guy's he's all squared away. He's all good to go. Not. Hello. Trump himself made a public appearance Friday afternoon, both boarding a motorcade with his grandchildren en route to Trump National Golf Club in Virginia. Photographs published by People magazine showed him in golf attire and wearing a red "Make America Great Again" hat and appearing in good spirits. Still, the online firestorm highlighted how quickly rumors can metastasize in the social media age. Memes referencing President Vance proliferated across X, with one viral post promising 500 to everyone who likes this post if Trump is dead. For now, the rumors have been debunked by Trump's own appearance, but in an age where truth is managed, curated, and spun, even seeing isn't always believing. Would like to bring your attention also to some videos that we've made over on our Rumble account, basically indicating that you know, the WEF will reward anybody who targets Trump. Leave that there for you and your attention. Going to be looking out for our next article, which is when it gets a little bit more vomitous as far as I'm concerned. As a Brit, I could not agree with Elon Musk anymore when he says Elon Musk blasts Britain's treasonous government. And they are treasonous. Okay, in every single way, they are so evil. And we live in a world today where in every single government across every single country, you have Nazi type individuals. This isn't just pertaining to dear old Germany. This isn't just about Japan or some other nations of the past, like China or Russia, just solitary in one nation. This is every single nation, that these guys can literally, you know, slit the throats of, you know, democracy and freedoms and liberties. Things that this country, you know, sent millions out to overseas countries to fight for, so that we wouldn't have this on our shores. So we didn't live underneath Nazi Germany, so that we weren't so surveyed and trapped and traced, so that we weren't harassed and bullied. And our right to freedom to protest, our right to, you know, express our faith, as well as freedom of speech, wasn't to be taken away. Yet these guys, these monsters, have literally taken that away in a heartbeat. Because if you go to our Rumble channel and see the video about the Fabians, these are Fabian Marxists. They want to see the destruction of the church, and you understand what Marxism is really all about, absolutely terrifying, the loyalty and the fealty of what these particular individuals have about them. And so when you create online safety bills where apparently it's to protect children, that's a lie, because they're having to surrender their identity and their IDs in order to get onto some of these things. And it is actually a way to censor. I've told you that I can't make anything because of it. My phone is possessed. It unrecords, it unscreen records, it cannot save, it will not download. It's never been that way in 8 years of doing this. Never, not once. So then they wage war on agriculture and farming and the very foundations of this country. When you're talking around the war on fishing, when it comes to the war on farming, with the taxes and everything else, when you have millions and millions and so many millions, okay, of people literally begging, crying out in this country for a national election, and they won't even have one. They won't even debate it. You have to get 100,000 signatures for them to discuss in the House of Commons anything the country wants to discuss. And they won't even do that with millions of signatures. So that one goes down and they will do another one and they'll get more and more and more. This is how treasonous they are. And then the online crime and policing bill that's around the corner. This is terrifying, family. It only takes one of you guys to grasp me up. That gets flagged to my council in my county, or in your case, estate. Okay, and then that person who will clearly be compromised and paid off and very anti-Christian and, you know, some completely and utterly, you know, modeled and fashioned and groomed to their precise liking, signs off and says, yes, you know, Mr. Danny Trendell has been offensive for what he said about this particular issue, goes and takes that to a judge. And with the way that the British courts are at the moment, where you don't even have juries anymore, you don't need those anymore, all you get is another corrupt judge to turn around and say, yeah, I agree, bam, off you go to prison. You're done. Indefinitely. And if they start labeling us also, as they're trying to do now with demonizing us, so that we are so evil apparently that we want freedom of speech, that they are likening us to perverts and pedophiles like Jimmy Savile. And so all of a sudden we'll become labeled, you know, troublers to the state, dangers to the state. They will label us as terrorists all of a sudden. And underneath the Terrorist Act 2000, you can kiss goodbye legal representation. You can be held indefinitely, and they can Guantanamo Bay your butt, and you ain't got nothing you can say about it, in a big black hole for a long, long time. That's where we are getting to now. Nobody wants this government in office. And it's not just the Labour Party that have done what they've done. It's also the Conservative Party who created all of these bills that the Labour government are literally implementing at the moment, lying to Donald Trump, saying, oh, yeah, we're really proud of our, you know, sort of like freedom of speech and we don't censor anybody. Are you kidding me? And this is what boils my blood as a watchman. It makes me angry. And anger is a human reaction. Do not sin in your anger, but anger nevertheless. Because our job on this wall is to report evil, exposing evil. Ephesians 5:11 have nothing to do with the fruitless deeds of darkness, rather expose them. To sound that alarm. And when you get other individuals that are deliberately stoking this fire, so Elon Musk deliberately stoking this fire, so then all of a sudden you're going to get Starmer who will turn around and say, right, fair enough, you don't uphold, you know, British interests, we're going to cancel and ban X from England, just like they ban Rumble in other countries. It's all deliberate. Do you not see where this is all going? So that there is no agency, there is no one out there to do that. So when we make some of our videos, it has taken me years to find some of these sources that are uncensored, that I can get around the censorship of the day. But now we're seeing that that's not going to be the case. So Elon Musk has slammed the UK government, accusing it of committing treason against its own people. Absolutely. After it won an appeal against a decision that prevented the house of migrants in hotels. We're seeing this to deliberately sabotage and ruin British national identity and sovereignty of this country. So a year before Keir Starmer, hops, skips and jumps his way into 10 Downing Street, he's at Davos turning around and saying, we are here, Rachel Reeves, look at us, we're going to brown nose and pucker up to the WEF, and we're going to turn around and say, as a signal of intent, we'll play a much more significant part. Bam, the boy's in office, literally for his own self-interest and not the interest of the British people. Because if it was really about that, he would resign or turn around and hand the power back to the people and say, we're going to have a vote in on this. So these online safety bills, you've got perverts, and I will say that they're perverts, and they're probably the police force. And I'm going to say that they're perverts, the police force are, by being so voyeuristic, by being able to literally hack all of your devices with these new powers that they've been given to manage and monitor all of this. And I'm saying it's completely criminal and illegal for them to do that, especially to my phone device. As a former therapist, I still have client information on there and privy information. Only a judge can look at that. So if a police officer was to arrest me about something with or harass me about one of my former clients, I'd be like, nah, you can bounce, bruv. You can get out of my face, fam. I'd slam the door on their face and say, get yourself a warrant and a subpoena from a court, and then I might hand over my, information, my case notes, my sort of process notes to them. And they don't have that power and they don't have that authority. And yet they're going through literally everything at the moment with this technology that comes from Pedophilia, Palantir. All of this stuff that ordinarily would be used for spies is being weaponized against its own civilians. And they're deliberately stoking this issue when it comes to immigration. And then now they're making it illegal for those that want to express their national identity, arresting Christians, all right, for praying, arresting Christians also for preaching on the streets because maybe one or two people don't find that particularly flavoursome for them. At the Court of Appeal on Friday, Lord Justice Bean, Lady Justice Nicola Davis and Lord Justice Cobb ruled in favour of the government and Somani Hotels Limited, which runs the Bell Hotel in Epping. Of course they do. See how easy it is to pay off a judge and appoint them. This is where protests against the government's policy of housing migrants in hotels started. Epping Council leaders had won a temporary injunction to close the hotel, but now the Court of Appeal has overturned it. InfoWars reports Home Office lawyers argue that migrants' rights to be housed in the hotels were more important than the rights of local residents. I can barely afford to make ends meet. I'm really blessed. I have a great team that helps support me, but I can barely make ends meet because I do this full time, guys. And so many people are literally over here in the country having to have that debate when it comes to winter, heating or eating, not being able to pay such bills because the standard and the price of living has gone so up. And then having so many products that have been taken away from shelves and literally being controlled into submission, having everything being weaponized against us. And it's not okay with the outrageous expense of living, which is why all of the millionaires and rich people are leaving these shores because they can't sustain it. They're like, we ain't going to be giving all of this money up in here like this to the government. We don't want to be paying that tax. And they're doing that to farmers. I said it to you again, if you can tolerate, Jeremy Clarkson's obnoxious elements of his character and his blasphemy, okay, if you can just go and see some of his work when it comes to the farm. And this guy's really stinking rich through Top Gear and everything else that he's done, and he can't even make a profit with all of the farmland that he's got in Oxfordshire. So can you imagine that when they're weaponizing the weather and everything else and spraying everything all over these crops and then putting all these limits on fishing and everything? It's to starve us into submission, increasing the burden of man to the point where you can't afford these everyday basics anymore. And yet, in the immigrants' hotel, they're being given pocket money, free dental, free eye stuff. It costs a fortune to go and see some of these people. These glasses that I've got at the moment are ones that I bought in a supermarket that were really, really cheap. I can't afford to go to a proper, spectacle place or Specsavers or opticians and have this done. I can't afford that. There's just no way. It'd be so expensive. I get a council tax bill and that's like £1,600. And I get that every single March. Instantly puts me into debt. When I've worked really hard not to be in debt, and I live on my own. Absolutely monstrous that these guys get given so very much. And I need to say this, man, if none of y'all clocked it, really, do these guys that come over to this country really think that we have it so great? Are you kidding me? When we are trapped and surveyed and oppressed, and we are just so bullied, we're so surveyed, we're so controlled and manipulated, so confined. Is this a country that you want to come to? It ain't going to be long before the Brits are going over to other countries and saying, we've been persecuted because we live in England, because this is what it's like to live in England. Evil, awful, so depressing. We work the hardest out of every country in the world, the longest amount of hours, and we receive the less pay. Really? You want to come over here? And then these guys that will come over and take those jobs as well. Illegally, but that's all okay. It's not okay. You need to protect your borders. You need to protect all of that. But this is, again, to literally stranglehold the identity of this country. And all of the previous prime ministers, if we keep saying, like, Cameron was one of them. He was the first to leave, saying, I can't be a part of this, because he knew what the Club of Rome were going to be forcing. He didn't want to lose British national identity and sovereignty. He loved this country, as I do as well. Okay, he loved it. He didn't want to see what was going to happen to it, and he didn't want to be a part of it. As much as he was an awful prime minister, I really do borderline respect the man for seeing what's ahead and going, nah, thanks. Same as Liz Truss, who was literally bullied and harassed by the deep state, the WEF, the Club of Rome, the Committee of 300, the Fabians that were all around her in office. And she saw what was also happening. Same with Boris Johnson. He also saw that and played his part as much as he could, until it was a case of, no, I don't agree with what the beast system is doing right here, right now. I don't want to be a part of that. And others that just bailed out real quick, like Rishi Sunak, bailing out as well, not wanting any of these things to be a part of it. And yet here you have, in my opinion, one of the most evil prime ministers since Hitler in office, in Keir Starmer. And look what he is doing, the damage that this man is doing. And it's not just targeting a people group like the Jews or the undesirables. This is in every single government, in every single country across the world, this beast system that is in existence at the moment. It's absolutely terrifying. A huge social media backlash followed the announcement of the decision, and Twitter owner Musk, who has voiced sharp criticisms of the UK government in the past, went on a tear of his own, taking the UK government to task and accusing it of betraying the British people. And this also means the betrayal of our security services that aren't doing very much when it comes to actually keeping us safe, when they're using this technology against civilians, not against those that actually have terrorist ideologies or want to do harm, or to use this, tech overseas for our national interests. Epic fail. And the police force as well, the thugs in uniform. All right, these are the guys that aren't literally doing anything about the sudden adult deaths with the COVID vaccines, the weaponizing of the food and the water and the chemtrails overhead and everything else. No, they've been given, more powers to be perverts from afar, voyeuristic, and looking at us where we go, what we do. Videos that we've done this week as well about them accessing cameras when it comes to children. And that's sort of like, the brain computer interface that's going on with what they're doing with the grooming of kids. Ain't about safety at all. These guys have got so many crimes in and around them. And it isn't in the civilian streets where this is occurring. It's in the government where this is occurring. And yet they do, and they say nothing because they're compliant in that. In one tweet, he wrote, "A nation with a government against its people shall perish from the earth." This is it, isn't it? To give their power to the beast. Got to take it away from the people, first of all, get them all checked in line. In another, Musk said the government is committing treason against the people, and absolutely is. The nightmare happening to Epping and hundreds of other towns in Britain and Ireland will come to your town too, unless it is stopped by the people he wants. We don't need, it's like, why can we not protect our own shores? It's unbelievable. He retweeted and commented on post activists by Tommy Robinson, Member of Parliament Rupert Lowe, and a number of patriotic British accounts. He also drew users' attention again to the scale of the grooming gang scandal, labelling it unconscionable. And it absolutely is unconscionable. When these guys do not, these immigrants have come over to our country, okay, and they do not understand the laws of the land. They don't even speak the language. And because they've got in their country, the ability to be able to groom minors, they assume that they can do that over here with the British children over in this way. And that is monstrous. So many videos out there online as well. I'm going to give a little bit of a plug. I'm not 100% down with it, to be honest, but I will go over to Saint ABS. All right, over here in the UK, and he does a lot of these videos around these guys and around Islam and their value system and what they're trying to impose over here. We've made videos here, have we not, about the Islamification of this country. Why is that? Because their prophet was a pedophile, taking someone at 9 and then having sex with them at 12, and then all of these other laws that are coming into place, trying to remove that age of consent down quite considerably. We're going to discuss that again in a moment with Israel and other nations that we're seeing. So Elon Musk tweeted, "I don't even know what to say anymore. Pakistani Mia brothers raped 2 7-year-old boys in a mosque. They drugged and prostituted 30 underage school children. They cut off the toes of 2 girls who tried to escape. The court found a total of 62 crimes. This happened in Leeds, the United Kingdom. Illegal immigration continues." Protests spread across the UK at the beginning of the month as anger at the government's migrant policies boiled over following the sexual assault of a 14-year-old girl by an Ethiopian man. These are the guys that can't keep our streets safe. And these guys literally get away with it, just like all of the perverts in their list. It's almost like, if you're a pervert, don't expect to be reprimanded or anything like that. Oh, would it be a bit too dangerous for you to be in prison? Because I tell you what, man, you get the boys in the hood that are in the prisons, those that have, and live by the streets. That would not be very good for you. There are laws in prison, and you want to go abusing children and minors like that? Do not expect an easy ride. Expect to be cut up some, if that's what you're going to do. And even the morality of those that you would deem to be convicts, they have rules. There are rules on the street. You cannot be betraying each other like that. You cannot be lying or deceiving one another. Trust in that neck of the woods is really important. And look how epically the government fails when it's not transparent, it's not congruent, and it's not in any way forthcoming with information or the like. They want to suppress all of these things. Demonstrations have now spread to London and to other major cities like Newcastle and Manchester and are ongoing. In London, protests took place outside the upmarket Thistle City Barbican Hotel, where hundreds gathered and police charging the crowds to make arrests. The thugs in office. They should be turning around and saying, you know what, isn't this a little bit convicting when you get average Joe and you know what I mean, Mrs. Joe, that are out really peaceful, sort of like citizens, law abiding, and they're out there, having a right to freedomly, protest, and also to sort of like say, we don't approve of this. And yet, they're charged, they're hit with tear gas and the like, and the thuggery of the law enforcement, the paramilitary, like these guys will kit it out as if they're like SAS soldiers. Absolute monsters, police brutality being caught left, right, and centre against the British people for these guys standing up and literally doing their jobs for them. In response to the ongoing protests, the UK government has created a new task force to monitor anti-migration sentiment online. Yeah, you want to monitor this? I love this country. God allowed me to come over here several generations ago, and I've served in the British Army, and I hate what's being done to it. And anyone who doesn't needs to bounce off these shores, simple as. As official fears grow of another summer of unrest like last year's. But it's been purposefully stoked. According to Britain's Daily Telegraph, the UK Home Office has formed a group called National Internet Intelligence Investigations to maximise social media intelligence about anti-migration sentiment in the UK. So they want to silence us and our voices, do they? For raising an objection, for turning around to what these immigrants have literally done and said, no, that's not acceptable. We do not agree with that in any civilized culture or society. That's not acceptable, let alone the Islamification of this nation, where they will come over here and they'll have like 3 or 4 families knocking out 30, 40 kids, and then raising them with extreme values and everything else, wanting Sharia law. And then the good old King of England, hashtag not my king, wants to reward them with Ramadan prayers in Westminster. He wants to give Christmas messages to this people group. Doesn't want to do that to the Christian faith, in which he is meant to be the defender of, not faiths, but of the faith, the Christian faith. And he is an illegitimate king who needs to be dethroned because he has failed. The group will work from the National Police Coordination Centre, which was used to monitor and enforce the social restrictions during the pandemic. The government has vowed to come down hard on protesters if there is a repeat of last year's unrest, which began with the murder of 3 schoolgirls in Southport by Axel Rudakubana, the son of a Rwandan migrant. So that's fine. So when people get angry, you just absolutely pulverize them to a pulp. You silence them, you suppress them, you end up spying on them. Then you get really personal and dark, hand that information over to hackers, and then you make their lives an absolute misery, trying to demonetize them, trying to really do everything else against them, mess with their tech, mess with their devices, mess with their finances, and everything else that goes on. This is how evil this country really is. While the public have a right to protest against the current situation, we will never tolerate unlawful or violent behaviour. Does that also go for the police force? Unlawful behaviour when they're hacking devices illegally, track and tracing you without your permission illegally, the thuggery and the violence that they are literally given against people in the UK for protesting. They are the walking, talking definition of criminals, the government and the police and the security services. Try living over here, guys, and tell me something different. Working closely with the police, we have thorough and well-tested contingency plans in place to deal with any public disorder, which have been strengthened since last year's shameful scenes. And what has the government done to really protect children in that instance? You've got, reform over here, and you've got Nigel Farage saying that he'll want to, deport 600,000 illegal immigrants. Well, if you're here illegally, they should not be here for 1 second later. Put them on a train, put them on a plane, and take them back home. Because I can guarantee you that the way of life that they've come back for ain't half as bad as what we've got over here in the UK. Let's sort our house out first before we start doing that. Footage of the current protest has been blocked on X for British users after the country's controversial new Online Safety Act came into effect recently. So they don't want even us being able to have this X. Do you see the connection with why this is a deliberate setting up? So it justifies the British government turning around and banning X, which is the last resource, or at least one of the last resources that we have for freedom of speech. So they want that as well. They were threatening the same thing last year with Rumble and Telegram, arresting those guys. Do you remember that? My outspoken digest, this is from Dan Wotton. My outspoken digest about the migrant protests up and down the country this weekend has been censored, he says, under the UK Government Online Safety Act on X. As a result, no one has watched the truth. This isn't about protecting children from suicide. This is about authoritarian control. Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. The act passed by the previous Tory government was intended, no, it wasn't, to prevent children from being exposed to pornography and graphic content on the internet, but it already appears to be being used for a very different purpose. Yeah, it is. These guys really want to care about that. Go to your movies, all right, where you're grooming children, where you're reducing the age of consent with these child stars that are in them, sexualizing them. Go back 60, 70 years to actually the actual, you know, certification of these videos, and take out all the blasphemy, take out all of the sex scenes that you have in there, take out all the violence that you have from such platforms as that. How about that? We try that. Please forgive me, my brothers and sisters. I do not want to be going off the deep end like this, but we expose evil here. We've talked about what this country is doing. I need to sort of like take you to Israel now. Israel is set to become the first nation to eradicate consent laws, saying that pedophilia is a human right. This is what the WEF have literally been in and out trying to achieve. It started as whispers, hushed voices in academic halls, muttering sermons from religious pulpits. But now it's out in the open. In Israel, pedophilia is being rebranded, even legalized. And some people are like saying, oh, how do you know this all happened on October the 7th? When they were targeting their own civilians. Really? Telling me that a government's never targeted its own civilians in order to achieve some aim or objective? I've seen the footage. We've all seen the footage of like IDF, you know, warships targeting their own civilians, and then the evidence afterwards with the sort of like munitions spray and the damage that can only come from a you know aerial assault. We've also got a video which I will put in the community post for you afterwards, surrounding Israel being the paedophile capital of the world, a safe haven. According to members of Israel's own parliament, Netanyahu's government isn't just turning a blind eye, it's protecting the predators. A cabal of paedophile judges, politicians, CEOs, and so-called elites shielded from exposure. So my challenge would be to my brothers and my sisters that want to, you know, who are experts in Israel, is report really what's happening. Don't just misuse Israel for the low-bearing fruit that she is so that you can receive a blessing, but not actually do a really good job of exposing what also happens in this country. I love Israel and I stand behind her 7 days a week and twice on Sunday, but not when this occurs. We need to be doing better. And while the victims are silenced, the government is taking a chainsaw to the very safeguards meant to protect them. Why? Because they all want to come out, these pedophiles. They want to normalize their crimes, isn't it? The Jimmy Saviles, you know, the Prince Andrews, the P. Diddy's, the Oprah Winfrey's. It's all about abusing children, either drinking their blood, cannibalizing them, terrorizing them in hunting campaigns, or sex trafficking them, or organ harvesting. They don't want to be doing that in the shadows no more. They want to bring it all out into the open, normalize it, and add this sick, you know, repulsion to the alphabet people by dismantling the age of consent laws, banning sex offender registers, and stripping away every last offense. Why? Because these monsters in power say children abuse isn't abuse at all. It's natural. Going back to the old Roman day of boy love. Apparently, according to them, it's good for the child. It's even ordained by ancient law. They want you to believe we're all paedophiles at heart. So this is where the normalcy and the grooming occurs when it comes down to these movie stars. All of a sudden, the glamorous woman, she's gone bye-bye. The hero man, he's been demasculated. He's had his bits cut off. And then, oh, there you go. There's a girl now. Not a woman, but a girl now. A little bit developed. But you're looking at that because your brain's still wired back to the old way of things. That's normalizing that. You're looking at that person in a way that you should not be looking at them, and they should not be putting them into those particular roles, growing them all up, removing the age of consent. So that all of a sudden you'll have a reasonably young, you know, like the Anne Hathaway, you know, movies, where she'll be a lot older, but she'll go to a younger man, normalizing this perversion. But here's the truth. This isn't about faith or culture or tradition. It's about control. And once you see who benefits from normalizing the unthinkable, you'll understand just how deep this rot goes. For years, Israel has been hiding in plain sight. All right, I'm going to take it out on Israel because she became the Pfizer laboratory for everybody over there. And they were literally suppressed with this vaccine as Netanyahu, you know, handed the entire country that belongs to the Lord, as does the whole earth, by the way, anyway, and said, yeah, sample and test run our sort of like children. So Israel has been hiding in plain sight, a safe haven for predatory pedophiles. Time and again, it has refused to extradite men wanted for crimes against children. And don't take my word for it. These aren't rumors. They're headlines straight out of Israel's own media. Okay? And I'm going to turn this around so you can see what it is I'm saying. So when you get these other channels that do not want you or don't want to cover some of these issues because they're cowards, all right? We ain't going to do that here. Hope you can get that. Okay, let's read some of that. Tip of the iceberg from Haaretz. Now foreign sex offenders find refuge in Israel. Come from Israel News. Hollywood director, latest sexual predator to find refuge in Israel. Again with the Israel News. Israel becomes a refugee for pedophiles, warns advocate for child sex abuse victims. And from the Jerusalem Post, Israel is trying to legalize pedophilia. From Haaretz Today. Haaretz Today says why Hollywood's alleged sexual predators love moving to Israel. From the Jerusalem Post, Israel needs to stop being a haven for sex criminals. CBS Mornings, how Jewish American pedophiles hide from justice in Israel. From the Independent, Emmanuel, the town in Israel where pedophiles find safe haven. From the Time of Israel, many accusers of Jewish pedophiles in US flee to Israel. And from the News World, Israel becomes safe haven for pedophiles with laws that allow any Jew to legally return. Pedophilia in Israel has been exposed. How many of those do you see in those that cover Israel? But now something has shifted. The diabolical systemic pedophile cult, one that traces back nearly 9,000 years, is facing the greatest threat it's ever known: exposure. Israeli MP Avi Moaz is now leading the charge inside the Knesset. His warning is explosive. Netanyahu isn't just tolerating pedophilia, and he isn't just shielding the powerful men behind it. He's rewriting the law itself to make their crimes against children perfectly legal. Moaz says pedophilia is a perversion. Pedophilia is a disgusting phenomenon, and I will do everything in my power to make sure the children of Israel are not abandoned because of one agenda or another. Forgive me, guys, for putting this to you on a Sunday. We will be ending this live because of the content matter that we've been doing a little bit more, you know, I don't know what the right word is. It's heartbreaking, guys, and it breaks my heart. We're entrusted with these children, and this is what they do. This is what power and authority can do. How sick and depraved it really is. And I'm bringing this to your attention, brothers and my sisters, because I'm guaranteeing you this. When we come back with Jesus in the cloud after 7 years, we will be walking into caves and mountains and rescuing these kids. If that doesn't break your heart, I don't know what will. Moaz says the situation is critical. He warns that behind closed doors, steps are already underway to legalize pedophilia and to grant legal immunity to tens of thousands of known abusers who continue to operate with impunity inside Israel. Moaz warns that many of these predators see themselves as chosen and ordained by God. In their minds, abusing children isn't a crime at all, but a holy mandate, an ancient right granted to them by divine authority. See how sick these people are in the head? His most notorious case is that of Malka Leifer, the former principal of the ultra-Orthodox Adas Israel School in Melbourne, Australia, between 2003 and 2008. She was charged, right, it's not just men, she was charged by Victoria Police with 74 counts of sexual assault and rape against her female students. But before she could face justice, Leifer fled to Emmanuel, Israel. Soon after arriving in the town, she resumed abusing children. Yet her family insists she's done nothing wrong, that she's only showing the children love. In their eyes, no crime has been committed. Benjamin Netanyahu also tweeted this: "Our most ancient teachings tell us that pedophilia is holy and must be protected." Oh, wait, come on. I don't know if you see that. There you go. It's this twisted mindset at the grassroots level that gives cover to the elites, allowing elite paedophile rings to flourish in plain sight. And that's exactly what's happening. According to Moaz and a growing number of whistleblowers, generations of victims are now stepping forward with horrific stories of abuse, stories that are being systematically buried, whitewashed, and even legislated out of existence by the Netanyahu government. Whistleblowers claim that high-level politicians, including Netanyahu's settlement minister Orit Strock, are directly involved. Some of the most damning testimonies come from their own children, who say they were raped and abused in satanic rituals at VIP events that were meticulously documented and recorded. Which brings us to Epstein. Because according to investigators, what we're seeing in Israel isn't isolated, it's part of a coordinated systemic network, a machine that runs through global power structures, including the World Economic Forum, designed to normalize the unthinkable: rape, ritual abuse, murder, and blackmail. Epstein wasn't an anomaly, he was one of many. For decades, hiding in plain sight has been their modus operandi, but now the push to legalize pedophilia marks an entirely new level of depravity. Outrage is already brewing inside Israel as the elites move to dismantle the last remaining protections for children. Earlier in the month in Las Vegas, a sting operation went down that should have made national headlines. Police thought it was a routine, another predator taken off the streets. But when they slapped on the cuffs, they realized this wasn't just anyone. It was a senior Israeli official, a deputy to Benjamin Netanyahu himself. And that's when everything flipped. Instead of charges, he walked free. No ankle monitor, no GPS tracker. He kept his passport, and within hours, he was on a plane back to Israel, joining tens of thousands of others already shielded there. And look what they do to us if we speak up and we speak out. And look at how perversion walks free. Well, they will not escape the wrath of God. How did this happen? Well, the answer is simple. His prosecution would have dragged too many powerful names into the light. Yeah, seeing that everywhere, aren't we? Israel and its intelligence agencies have been kidnapping children for decades. Huge numbers simply vanish without a trace. Girls and boys snatched from their homes, disappearing into a system an outside world barely acknowledges. And this is what they're normalizing on all these movies. You go onto Amazon Prime and you just scroll through. So-and-so kicked some ass because his daughter was kidnapped, or his son was kidnapped, or his child was, do you know what I mean? All of them like that. Normalizing this, as well as them normalizing, the hunting and the game, as they like to call it. 14 Israelis suspected of running child sex trafficking ring in Colombia. This is coming out from the, I think it's the Times of Israel. Network allegedly marketed trips from Israel for tourists to have sex with minors who were forced into prostitution. And the most shocking part, the complicit media has largely turned a blind eye, ignoring the patterns, the victims, and the networks that enable this to continue unchecked. And so does the Watchmen. How many of those that really cover Israel and are named as like experts on this cover this issue? They don't. As with everything else, they turn a blind eye to it. They turn a blind eye to the patterns, to the victims, and the networks that are in place that continue this to go on unchecked. Then you understand why I am literally sort of like with it all. The disturbing mindset underpinning these crimes comes straight from Talmudic teachings that rabbis use to excuse abuse. They use this Talmudic teachings to keep victims silent and justify Israel's trafficking and adrenochrome industries. In Gov't 11b, we read, Rava said that this is what the Mishnah is saying. An adult man who engages in intercourse with a minor girl less than 3 years old has done nothing, as intercourse with a girl less than 3 years old is tantamount to poking a finger into the eye. In the case of an eye, after a tear falls from it, another tear forms to replace it. Similarly, the ruptured hymen of the girl younger than 3 is restored, and a young boy who engaged in intercourse with an adult woman renders her as one whose hymen was ruptured by the wood. All right, I'm not just saying what I'm saying just for the fun of it, guys. All right, you need to read that yourself. I don't know how many of you actually read the articles that we put in there. Rabbi Yehoshua B. Gordon makes it even clearer. In his view, if a Jewish man rapes a young girl, it's the girl's fault for tempting him. According to the rabbi, the minor girl should be the one to face trial in court, not the Jewish man. This isn't just a sick opinion, it's a mindset that shields predators, grants them impunity, and keeps their victims silent in the shadows. And I've seen so many other channels that have just had enormous fruit bowls because they literally sort of, in my opinion, misuse Israel. And they don't actually report what's really going on. Oh, mate, your boy threw a grenade over. Mate, your boy threw it back. Really? And this is all going on? Don't want to report that, do you? Do they? They just want the fruit and the blessing that comes from it. And they're ignoring the victims and they're not speaking out. It's more of a crime to know that this goes on and you say and you do nothing. This isn't just about Israel either. This is about a 9,000-year-old paedophile cult that has seized control of the world through institutions, including the UN and the WEF, and the system built to protect it, including the mainstream media gatekeepers who have a long-run cover for the elites. We're up against a paedophile cult that has been operating for thousands of years, one that's hijacked the mainstream media, corrupted Hollywood, and is flooding the world with its poisons. Another generation is being stolen in plain sight. New victims are created every single day, maybe even in your own city. Enough is enough. This trafficking empire, this adrenochrome machine must be ripped out, root and branch. No more hiding, no more excuses, and no more looking the other way. It's time to act is now. Okay, I'm going to put that article there for your attention, and I'll be putting in a video in and around that where you do actually get a few brave journalists that have tried to take that on. Let's have a little breather, shall we? I very much doubt this video will get many views, but that's okay. We spoke up for the children, Lord. We spoke out against evil, Lord. We did not turn a blind eye. Hi there, Sherry. Thank you for keeping the fort. Hi, Megan. Bless you. Hi, Mike, buddy. Great to see you guys. Hi, Sub-Zero. Yeah, Sub-Zero saying, I miss you guys, and I've been monitoring the UK, and it's surreal. Gate probably poisoned Trump. Yeah, probably did. Yeah, we're going to be looking into an article in a moment around the UK. We're going to go back to that. The politics in the UK is nothing more than professional wrestling. Two parties appear to fight one another and then go and divide the money up in the back room. Yeah, all of one mind. Revelation 17:13. All of one mind, all of one purpose to give their power to the beast. They're all in on this. Hi there, JP. Bless you. Yeah, communism has become trendy. So I booked the ABCs of communism on my dad's coffee table last year. Wow. Hi there, Felix. Bless you. You're welcome. Hi, Alison. God bless you, dear sister. Yeah, the USA is following the UK economy, groceries, utilities, etc. Just keeps going up. It's exactly starving it all out. You got Bill Gates literally buying up everything, all the food, all the water, all the land. It's unbelievable. The war and agriculture and farming, telling us to eat bugs, humiliation rituals, awful. Hi there, Rain Cry. Yeah, the evil is everywhere. Hi, Cher. Yeah, JP saying, saw a YouTube video how people and children are often hidden on freight trains. Guess they aren't inspected. No, they're not. Yeah, Cher saying it for what it is. Bale is still behind the scenes and successful. We need to speak up about this. Cannot conceive of a mind that does not look at this. It's why I struggle to have that respect for them when they turn a blind eye. How can they? How can they do that? JP saying, yes, so true. So much evil behind the scenes. It's not as if like God isn't aware of their deeds. Absolutely. Those milestones are ready. Yeah, JP saying, hi, Rain Cry. So glad Dan can expose these stories that so few will touch. What a great honor for us as a channel to do that. And on behalf of Sherry, and behalf of Cher, and on behalf of Megan, we have and we continue to perform the duties of a watchman. Unreservedly, unquestionably. I'm not paid off. I'm not bought. I don't make a penny out of this, really. I'm blessed, but I don't ask you for any of it. It's our job to expose. It's our job, isn't it, as a watchman? You want to put yourself the title of watchman? Act like it. Act like it. And it's very unpopular because I know I'm not here to be liked. Watchmen aren't here to be liked. And you get loads of people on the other going, oh, isn't he so sweet? He's not. He's meant to be in your face and really annoying and really loud and tell you what's going on, because you guys need to know that. So it's our great joy to report on these things. They are horrific. I can't tell you, making videos about it, but even now on this live, I have to check my heart as it sort of bursts up to my throat, and I have to pull it down so that I can function, so that I can speak, so that when I'm making videos around this and I'm hearing the testimonies from somebody else other than myself reading it out loud, I'm in tears. I'm broken by this. And I'm like, Lord, I'm so glad you made me and trained me to be a therapist, because it wasn't just about one person sat across me with a presenting problem of some of these things that I have also dealt with clients. But this is a global thing. This is nations all over the world. Yeah, it is share saying that tells you who is really running the show. And they are all in on it, share. All of the governments are all literally covering each other. And they distract us with those headlines whenever they want, and they want to put more evil in. Yeah, Sub-Zero saying, anyone do this in my presence? You know, Lord help me. Absolutely. Could you just imagine that? Guys, I'm not messing about, man. We are going to be coming back. When we go, we go. And I'll be quite happy to flip this planet off as I do so. But we are going to be coming back, guys. And there's going to be many of us that are going to be rescuing these kids in these elite bunkers, in these places that hide away. We are going to be unraveling what's going to be happening. And you think it's bad now? Just imagine what that's like when the church, the restrainer, is removed. Imagine how dark and depraved and how evil it is. Some of y'all are going to be there, and you're going to be, you know, rescuing these children. And there are some people, and I confess I am one of them. There are some that can go in and mediate and do all of that. The Lord wanted me to do some counseling with these kids. I'd be quite happy to say, okay, fair enough, Lord. Okay, fair enough. Personally, I wouldn't really want to. I'd want to go in with my sword drawn. And that's all I'm going to say. Okay. Let's just leave that alone there. All right. I'll put these articles in there for you to be able to see yourself. Let's come back over here to the UK. You know, if you're not tapping out by now, man, you're stronger than I am. I'm telling you. Now you understand why I go on so many prayer walks, because I have to have one in the morning, say, like, Lord, lead me. What do you want me to say? And then I'm like, okay, I've just said that, Lord. Sorry if I didn't put that right. If I was offensive, and I go through all of that motions, whatever. And then I need to get that out of my head. UK government offering psychotherapy. This is quite funny, though, actually. Right, UK government offering psychotherapy to civil servants traumatized by seeing the national flag. I just couldn't help this one. The UK government, through an Essex council near London, is offering psychotherapy and emotional support to civil servants traumatized by the sight of the national flag being raised in streets across cities and towns. A move ridiculed as absurd amid widespread public displays of patriotism against mass illegal immigration. So over here, what they're doing at the moment, they're sort of like painting roundabouts that ordinarily what white, and then there's putting like a little red St. George's cross on it, and then people apparently getting, you know, sort of like rocking them rocking themselves asleep at night because it's so traumatic. I'm just like, when are these guys going to put the crack pipe down? You know, are you flipping kidding me? Are you kidding me? When again does the minority supersede the majority? What do you know what I mean? As highlighted in reports, these flag-raising actions, oh, how terrible are we? Oh, dear. To show some pride in our country. Oh, you wicked heathen, you. Right? Action stems from everyday Brits fed up. Yeah, we are. We've had the we've got enough. Yeah, with the fallout from unchecked immigration, including strained resources, and community tensions that have fueled nationwide protests. Oh, but it's okay to be sticking Ukraine flags up everywhere, isn't it? Oh, it's okay to be putting the alphabet people's vomitous rainbow flag everywhere, isn't it? Oh, but no, we can't put any British flags up. No, we can't. Can't show any support to Israel being attacked or it all kicking off deliberately, however you want to look at it. But no. Trying to remove that national identity. Same thing they did with the American inauguration. No American flags anywhere. Why? Because that bad boy has gone bye-byes. The council's initiative really aimed at helping employees cope with what they deem unsettling symbolism has sparked backlash for prioritizing fragile sensitivities over addressing the root causes of public discontent, with critics slamming it as taxpayer-funded farce that ignores the real grievance driving the flag-waving movement. How dare we? Do you know? I'm just like, I won't do it, Lord, but I really, I could have then. Okay, modernity.news. Let's keep this as holy as we can, right? Modernity.news reports an email sent to staff by Essex County Council states that it is aware of the increasing visibility of St. George's and Union Jack flags displayed on road signs, bridges and streets in parts of Essex. Oh no. Do you know what I mean? It's unbelievable, isn't it? I've got to continue with this because this is the whole point, that the UK has to become the second club of Rome's kingdom. Yeah, all right, and joining the EU again. This is what it's all about, really. Okay, with Trump wanting Canada and sort of like Greenland. That's if he's alive still. If you don't see the funny side of some of this stuff, guys, I can't help you out no more. All right. Okay, the email continues. Could you imagine trying to do this with a straight face, right? While these symbols may hold different meanings for different people, right? We recognize that for many, no, particularly our colleagues of color, really, they can evoke feelings of discomfort. How? Okay, and be associated with anti-immigration rhetoric. Back the truck up. Or shall we say, shut the front door. I did good there, didn't I? I know. Anti-illegal immigration, yes, go on. This continues, right? As if that wasn't enough. Surely you would be like, look, put the shovel down. We stand firmly against all forms of racism and discrimination. Absolutely, and rightly so. And we are committed to fostering a safe, really inclusive, okay, and respectable environment for everyone. Liar, liar, pants on fire. The email ridiculously states, as if being perturbed about boatloads of illegals washing up in dinghies and being put up in a 4-star hotel at taxpayers' expense and allowed to wander freely around local communities is racist. As we highlighted yesterday, it's the centrist position of most British people now. The council email continues. Do you know what I mean? Right. Okay. As your senior leadership team, serious, right? We want to express our deep concern and solidarity. Oh, I hope it doesn't keep them up at night. We stand firmly. How so? Show me your posture. Against all forms of racism and discrimination. And we are committed to fostering a safe, inclusive and respectable environment for everybody. If you are feeling unsettled or affected by what you are seeing, okay, please don't hesitate to reach us or reach out. You can speak with your line manager, service manager, global majority leads, Antonia, assistant director or director. We are here to listen, support you, and ensure that both you and the children and families we serve feel valued and are safe. Sorry, not sorry. Okay, making the actions of Essex Council even more ridiculous is the fact that right outside their own HQ building, there flies a Union Jack and St. George's Cross. No joke. Right? That's just genius. All right. Commenting on the situation, Reform UK leader Nigel Farage noted, I've got to tell you, as an Essex MP, and yes, I was in Clacton at the weekend, and there are an awful lot of St. George's crosses. And yes, there are some in places that ought not to be. But I found this whole thing rather uplifting, Farage added, labelling the council's actions as unbelievable. Farage GP News guest Lord Morris Glassman remarked, "You get mugged and your bag nicked, and there's nothing to do with them. But you put a flag up and it's suddenly an issue." It's like, really? Really? Oh, please, will you roll down your sleeves, Mr. Trendell? You've got a Union Jack flag there when you served your country. That's a little bit offensive. Oh, you're an ethnic person. Sorry, didn't mean to ethnically profile you. Oh, we've got a bit of a conflict of interest here. Former Attorney General Sir Michael Ellis also responded, "This is two-tier. The council won't fix a pothole, but what about this?" It's going to get funny. Right? In related news, the British government has won its legal fight against a separate local council that sought to shut down a migrant hotel in Essex. The Court of Appeal ruled on Friday that a temporary injunction obtained by Epping Forest District Court against the continued use of the Bell Hotel to house so-called asylum seekers, I'm going to leave it as is, should be overturned. The hotel has been a site of intense protest by locals and anti-mass immigration activists for weeks, following the arrest of a migrant charged with sexually abusing a child. Okay. Now, I'm aware that we've discussed, guys, quite a bit when it comes to abuse, and I don't want to really leave that in your mind, Si. So we're going to look at something else very briefly. Okay, it's coming out from the Harbinger's Daily. Laugh all you want. The rapture is not escapism or fantasy; it's biblical. Okay, so let's start with the obvious. All right, the rapture sounds crazy, doesn't it? Jesus descends from heaven. Dead people rise from their graves, and living believers are suddenly caught up in the sky. Like the world's strangest episode of Stranger Things. Well, sounds like the stuff your uncle mutters about after 3 cups of church coffee. Except it's right there in Scripture. Paul says it, John says it, more importantly, Jesus says it. The only ones who don't are usually the skeptics writing editorials dismissing the very faith that gives us hope. And I saw, what was it, Amir Safati coming out with some absolute nonsense around the Feast of Trumpets. I'm like, bruv, whose side are you flipping on? Mr. Yeah, I'll take the COVID vaccine. Now, critics like to pounce, but the word rapture isn't even in the Bible. Well, congratulations, Sherlock. Neither are the words Trinity or even Bible. And yet here we are, still believing in all three. Yeah, we are. The word comes from the Latin rapturus, which translates the Greek word harpazo, meaning to snatch up, grab by force, etc. Imagine a parent reaching out and pulling their child away from danger just in time. That is the picture the Scripture gives us of the rapture. Some say, oh, the rapture is just a modern invention, some 19th century gimmick. Nonsense. Yes, J.M. Darby helped popularize it more recent times, but long before him, the early church fathers like Irenaeus and Cyprian wrote about believers being snatched up before judgment. It's not new, it's biblical. We also hear about the rapture straight from Paul, Peter, and James, and most importantly, the Lord Jesus himself. I will come again and receive you to myself. The most familiar passage of the rapture is, as we all know, come on now, tell me, 1 Thessalonians 4:16 through to 18. For the Lord himself shall descend from heaven with a shout, with the voice of the archangel, and with the trumpet of God, and the dead in Christ shall rise first. Then we, who are alive and remain, shall be caught up together, Greek word harpazo, meaning snatched up, with them in the clouds to meet the Lord in the air, and so shall we ever be with the Lord. Wherefore, comfort one another with these words. And if that sounds far-fetched, remember Enoch. who literally walked off the face of the earth into God's presence. Oh, and Elijah, who rode to heaven in a fiery chariot. The prototypes are already in the Old Testament. So why does this matter? Come on, if we're 22 days away from really going home, come on now. Let's old school it a little bit. Here's why this isn't just a fun theological parlor game. The rapture gives hope. Hope, Titus 2:13. Paul calls it the blessed hope. When you've buried a loved one, you don't need vague talk about them being in a better place. You need the solid promise that in one split second, you'll be with them again. Parents reunited with children, husbands with wives, brothers and sisters together again. And at the center of it all, Jesus Christ himself. This is it, guys. This is our blessed hope. This is it. I'm looking forward to being in the air, being out of here, being in the air, being with the Lord, being in his audience, having, my works being wheeled out. And I'll be like, bruv, you might want to stand the distance. This is going to go up quick. Right? You know what I mean? Before it even gets anywhere near the heat, you'll just go, and Jesus will go, where did it go? And the dude will go, where did what go? He's looking for it. But after we've done with that, we've had the great celebration and the wedding feast of the Lamb. I just want to come back down again. All right, that's where I want to be. I want to just grab some boys that just don't mind causing some trouble. And we're just going to come back down and start messing with the beast system. You know what I mean? Go have ourselves some fun. That's what I want to be doing for the kind of like 6 3/4 years. Let's carry on, shall we? And it does more than comfort grief. It motivates godliness. This is really important. This is why it's really hard for us at the moment of waiting and having this delay. But in the interim of that, the Lord's given us extra opportunities, okay, to be able to sort of earn and store for ourselves more treasures in heaven as we overcome things, as we get our houses in order, as we, move away from sins in our own lives and give God that area of it. And that's what's a real blessing if we can look at it in a little bit of a different way. But it does motivate us to do that, of thinking, I don't think I really want to be explaining that one. Thank you, Lord. And I'm so grateful that the Lord's dealt with me and my sins and my addictions in my life. If you really believe Jesus could return at any moment, maybe don't binge sin like it's Netflix. You wouldn't invite your best friend into a house piled with dirty laundry and Taco Bell wrappers. Don't greet your Savior that way either. You want to be ready, you want to be walking with him, then do so by keeping your spiritual house in order. Of course, there's always the circus clowns with their calendars, 88 reasons Jesus will return in 1988. I've got to respect that a little bit. I think that's a bit harsh, right? Good on him for trying it. And do you know what I mean? Others that have come out and said some of this, the late planet Earth, Hal Lindsey. Where would some of us be if these guys hadn't trailblazed before? We stand on their shoulders, by the way. Yes, perhaps they were wrong, just like every other date setter before or since. Jesus made it clear. No one knows the day or the hour. How many times are we going to hear this now? All right. Which, funny enough, includes you and me and that guy on YouTube with the chart on the whiteboard. The rapture isn't about prediction. It's about preparation. Yeah, but it's also about making sure that if you are watching, that day will not overcome you like a thief. And we are not children of the darkness. We are children of the light. Yes, we may not know the day nor the hour, but who says that we won't know the month or the year? And the idiom to no man knows the day or the hour is Feast of Trumpets. So what do we do with all this? Well, we wake up and we stay alert. We stop living like the world is a Vegas buffet that never closes. Paul said, the night is almost gone. The day of salvation is soon here. Translation time is short. Knock it off. If you're a believer, live clean, live holy, live hopeful. If you're not, well, get right or get left. Because one day, maybe very, very soon, maybe even tonight, in a blink, in the twinkling of an eye, everything changes. Loved ones raised, the church caught up, judgment delayed until after the bride has been rescued. It's not escapism and it's not fantasy. As C.S. Lewis reminded us, looking forward to the eternal world is one of the things a Christian is meant to do. So laugh if you want, roll your eyes, write your snarky little posts. But when it happens, when the shout comes, when the trumpet blows, mockery won't matter. Only hope will. Okay. Wanted to finish our sort of time together there with that. Okay. Want to just read out some scriptural verses, please, if I may. Okay. Our job and our heart here is to wake people up to the reality they find themselves in, but it is also to literally point them to the Lord Jesus as well as our secondary objective. Okay. It's not my first, it's my second. Okay. Because he is the only one who can save them. We read in 1 Corinthians 15, 1-4. Now I remind you, brothers, of the gospel I preached to you, which you have received, in which you stand, and by which you are being saved, if you hold fast to the word I preached to you, unless you believed in vain. For I delivered to you as of first importance what I also received, that Christ died for our sins in accordance with the scriptures, that he was buried, and that he was raised on the third day in accordance with the scriptures. We read in John 3:16, for God so loved the world that he gave his only son, that whoever believes in him should not perish, but have eternal life. Romans 1:16, for I am not ashamed of the gospel, for it is the power of God for salvation to everyone who believes, to the Jew first and also to the Greek. For in it the righteousness of God is revealed from faith for faith, as it is written, the righteous shall live by faith. And Romans 10:9, excuse me. Because if you confess with your mouth that Jesus is Lord and believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead, you will be saved. For with the heart one believes and is justified, and with the mouth one confesses and is saved. For the scripture says, everyone who believes in him will not be put to shame. For there is no distinction between Jew and Greek, for the same Lord is Lord of all, bestowing his riches on all who call on him. For everyone who calls on the name of the Lord will be saved. Ephesians 2:8, for by grace you have been saved through faith, and this is not your own doing. It is the gift of God, not a result of works, so that no one may boast. Mark 1:14, now after John was arrested, Jesus came into Galilee, proclaiming the gospel of God and saying, the time is fulfilled and the kingdom of God is at hand. Repent and believe in the gospel. And lastly, John 14:6, Jesus said to him, I am the way and the truth and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. There you go, guys. God bless you. Okay, we've looked at the article, Trump is dead, apparently. Rumors explode on social media as President vaunts trends on X. Well, I'll put that article there for you as well. We've also looked at Elon Musk blasts Britain's treasonous government. We've also looked at, guys, Israel is said to become the first nation to eradicate age of consent laws. Pedophilia, apparently, according to them, is a human right. We've also looked at, guys, the UK government as well is offering psychotherapy to civil servants traumatized by seeing the national flag. And then we ended with the article, laugh all you want, the rapture is not escapism or fantasy, it is biblical. We also looked at what I've been feeling in my Noah around something this way comes, be it a danger, be it a false flag, a black swan event, be it a pandemic, be it a war, be it a natural disaster, be it Three-Eye Atlas, be it some sort of monstrosity that the government has got geared up and planned. Okay, would encourage you guys to go over to some other channels, that not channels but X actually, that are reporting on this. Eurasia Daily, what is Britain preparing for, with mobile morgues and refrigerators for 7.5 million were secretly ordered, literally setting up tents in football stadiums over here in the UK. This is what's happening. Britain is preparing for a mass casualty event. The country has purchased refrigerators and mobile morgues capable of holding 700 bodies at a time. Okay, and also the 7.5 million framework and contract that has already been signed. What is it the government is expecting? Is it, as we said, pandemic 2.0, with them having Pegasus later on this year as a dress rehearsal for another pandemic? Is there a terror event being kicked off to implement digital IDs, with the London webcams being turned off? Is that a war? Is it a climate disaster? Or is there some other external factor going off here? Really disconcerting when we see what's happening with the British government. So guys, may God bless each and every one of you ever so richly. Please do excuse me and forgive me for being very animated in this. It's been a bit of an emotional roller coaster, as we've covered a variety of different articles, news interests there for you and yours. I pray it finds you well. I'll put those in the description box so that you can actually see for yourself some of this, and then there will be a supporting post in a moment, in about 10-15 minutes, where I will be putting on additional videos to support what it is that we've covered. So God bless you guys. Thank you to our mods, our Sherry, our Cher, our Megan, for keeping this a safe space for us, and we will touch base again very, very soon. All right, now, God bless. Bye.